All right, Friday update, July 16th, 2021. I'm just going to go over a couple important facts to follow up on Wednesday's post about the contract agreement, not yet a deal. A little update on that to start with. Still no word from the city. Was hoping that I would hear something from the mayor's team this afternoon. That didn't happen. It will become an issue if we don't hear an answer soon, obviously. So we shall see where that goes. But just to clarify a couple facts within the terms of the agreement. When we're talking about healthcare screenings, in the contract book, you will see a provision for $75,000 a year to conduct healthcare screenings. These were going on all the way up until 2019. They had stopped because we were told the lodge was not producing receipts or documentation of where the money was being spent. That being said, we got them to increase to $300,000 a year for the next 3 years to conduct these screenings on a bigger scale. The purpose is twofold. We want a healthier membership, number one. This presents an opportunity for our members to get free screenings. You're not going to your doctor to pay a copay. You're going to come and get various screenings, whether it's retinal scans, diabetes scans, obviously your typical blood draws and all of that good stuff. Like I said, it will make for a healthier membership. It will let you know that you have possible conditions that need to be addressed. That, in turn, will translate into a savings for the city of Chicago and their health expenditures specific to our membership. Why is that important? Because that, number one, if we can show a significant savings with that $300,000 a year prior to January of 2024, we would not be subjected to the second increase, which would be a full increase like the sergeants and fire have in their healthcare contributions. Right now, it is only half of the increase. It is not a 50% increase of what we're paying now. It is half of the increase that they both got stuck with. So it's 0.75%. The long-term goal, if we have the savings to January of 24 and we get that freeze in the second half of the increase, the long-term goal is to have a Philly-like model where we have an entity that processes. It's almost like cutting out the benefits section for our members, active and retired, where we would have this whole separate entity that would facilitate healthcare throughout. There would be no payroll deduction. It would only be your co-pays for your plan. That would be your only financial obligation with the long-term goal here. But the thought was to have this program first to show that we could do it on a bigger scale if we go forward from there. I know the city thinks we can't get it done, but we'll cross that bridge as we get there. We're determined to make healthcare a different dynamic when it comes to Lodge 7 and the police department, and hopefully a model for the rest of the unions in the city. Stay tuned, but I just wanted to clarify that. We are not joining the LMCC like the sergeants have. That is not the case. There's been so many false rumors, interpretations of what was put out, so I'm just going to clarify a couple of them. The other thing that I wanted to clarify is the money component. People are getting stuck on this 20%, the consumer price index, and all of that. I understand your concerns and thinking that this is not a fair number. This is as far as we thought this is as far as we could get the city to go in an agreement. Can we go to arbitration still? Absolutely. That'll be up to the membership. If this goes out for a vote, every one of you will get a vote to decide if you think this is a fair contract or not. But arbitration is not always friendly. There is a lot of parity when it comes to arbitration. You can rest assured there will be some things in this agreement that an arbitrator and the city's not going to want to give up at that point at arbitration, and an arbitrator probably will not award it to us. So if we get a point or two on the 20% going forward, that means we might lose something else. So again, it's kind of half a dozen of one, six of another when it comes to arbitration or negotiations. But we worked our asses off to make this deal as fair as possible for everybody involved. There were a lot of back and forth. I can assure you of that. As we go forward, those details will come out more and more. But just understand, there's two phases to this contract negotiation, and that was another problem that people had, was why are we doing it in two phases as opposed to just doing it all at once? Well, because it was too complicated to get it done in any expeditious fashion as a whole package. So that's why we broke it up. The sergeants did the same thing theoretically, and we're looking at twice as much in phase two as they had to deal with. Phase two is also going to have a couple financial components to it. This is not the end of the financial component. I mean, it's obviously the heavy lift, but the fire department has title codes that are 10 times what we have realistically. We have, D1, D2, D2A, and some people are in D3. I can't even tell you how many different levels there are in the fire department. Almost 90% of them are already past the first level, and they just keep climbing from there. That's the kind of restructuring we're looking to do as part of part two. There will also be issues to be addressed, such as bumps in pay, Lee-Mart CIT rifle, even bicycle certification, all that kind of stuff. We're going to look for bumps in pay in parity, just like the fire department has. So that 20%, that's pretty much where we're starting at. For the 4 years going forward, there will be an opportunity for more financial gains in phase two. So please, just understand there was a holistic approach to this negotiation. Lastly, I just want to address another thing that people are circulating. We did not give up the house when it comes to accountability. I'll give you two simple subject matters when it comes to accountability that were major sticking points for the city. One was they wanted the clarity of the phrase city's investigatory agency. Well, we end up coming to an agreement that in the current contract, it refers to IPRA. Now, we all know that that's COPA now. So we got that language cleared up. So now it's defined, instead of the city's investigatory agency and having this broad, vague, gray term that could mean almost anything, we defined it as COPA, the Bureau of Internal Affairs, and the Inspector General's office. If there is a successor organization to any of those that have the same scope of investigatory ability, we will then just basically be notified within 60 days that the name is changing, not the scope. If the scope changes, then the whole game changes. We address it a little differently. But the second part is when it comes to anonymous complaints. The anonymous complaints are part of 3563. They got that done in Springfield. We're going to still try and work on it, but the way the anonymous complaint component, and we were trying to get it to where it's a confidential complaint, semantics, different wording, but in reality, at some point, we wanted the person making the complaint to be revealed to the officer, same as any criminal court. Where we're at with it is this. If an anonymous complaint comes in and COPA does an affidavit override, which they have the authority to do. So, I mean, the anonymous complaint is almost a reality in today's world, sad but true. So we tried to layer as many levels of protection as we could. What happens when a complaint comes in, the affidavit override kicks in. It's a log number. Once they determine that there is going to be an investigation, prior to it going from a log number to a CR number, the officer will have the ability to file a grievance, request arbitration. An arbitrator will decide if there was enough evidence for them to do an affidavit override. The arbitrator could say they didn't meet the burden, it's tossed out, the log number is erased, never on your record. If the arbitrator says there was enough there, then it turns into a CR investigation, goes from there. You still have your discipline protections and the grievance arbitration procedure to fight the findings or the discipline recommendation at a second. It's not a second bite at the apple, it's just two different dynamics, but that's the best protection we can come up with. It's even a little different and stronger than I think what the sergeants have right now. Those are some of the simple components of what we're looking at. There's no sense going into a deep dive right now until we get a yes or no from the mayor's office. Like I said, hopefully Monday, we shall see. On a more important note, or more urgent note, City Council will be having a public safety meeting 5 p.m. on Tuesday prior to their general City Council meeting on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. They are taking up the subject matter of more accountability. God only knows why. The police board was given broad powers about suggesting police policies years ago. They've never done it. But when it comes to police policy, the police board has had the ability to do that. They want to create a whole nother entity, and this is a big struggle. And here's one of the strange, unique times where we're on the same page with the mayor. The ability to construct department policy and procedures should be at the mayor's desk, period. It should not be a civilian oversight dictating how men and women are going to operate in the police department. But that's what they want to do. We have to absolutely have our voices heard. It's incumbent upon all of you to reach out to your aldermen, your friends, your family, blow up their phones, visit their ward offices, let them know there is already too much oversight when it comes to the police department. They need oversight more than we do, 100 times over. But that being said, we have to make sure that bill gets killed where it's at in the Public Safety Committee on Tuesday night. If that becomes a reality, it is only going to make this job harder. These aldermen who are pushing this agenda, they have no idea what they're doing. They are just so blind to the future and what this city will become. I've said it several times. The police department has 4 levels of oversight already. That's more than twice. Nobody has more than 2 layers. We have 4. They're thinking about adding a 5th now. It's just lunacy. But you really need to be on top of your game and let the aldermen know everywhere across this city. It cannot happen. You can call, Alderman Taliaferro, even if he's not in your ward. He's the chairman of public safety. Give him a call. Let him know what you think. And if you could even make the city council meeting on Wednesday morning, even better. Or the public safety meeting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. You can still attend in person. It's limited seating, but you have the ability to be heard. There will be a public speaking comment section. As you know, I've made many trips there myself. I probably plan on attending actually Tuesday night myself. But with that being said, have a safe weekend. It's been a very tough week. We lost another brother to suicide. It never gets easier. I can assure you of that. We definitely have to try and be better brothers and keepers of our brothers and sisters. I don't even know where to go with it from there, to be quite honest with you. It was a very difficult morning that day, and the way that day ended was probably almost as tough. So with that being said, hug your kids a little tighter. You never know when any of our last breaths are going to be. Have a safe weekend and good night.